right, we get one more bonus. Wasn't planning on doing 2 bonuses. I wasn't originally planning on doing any bonuses tonight, but here we are. So we left off, we were talking about Valkyrie and suicide and noble sacrifices. So we're talking about noble sacrifices versus suicide and taking one's own life. And one of the points we talked about before was the needs of the many outweighing the few, which is like the big motto from Star Trek, and a lot of people take that to heart. And I opened up the first bonus video with quoting that, and I think I quoted it better than I just did just now. But another war movie, and this one's fictional. If it's based on anything in real life other than just being placed in World War II, I don't know about it. This one's also a Bruce Willis movie, and we mentioned Bruce Willis because he was in the Die Hard films. But Heart's War. Heart's War is about a young officer named Hart. He is actually a lawyer. He's not your career military. He's just, a yuppie. He's a rich guy. It's wartime, so guess what? People go into the service. It's World War II. Everybody has to be pulling their part. Yada, yada, yada. So there he is. And he was supposed to be having this cushy job at a nice, safe location base. And he's in a jeep transporting a map and something, and he gets captured and he becomes a POW. And that's where most of the story really takes place, is at this POW camp. And Bruce Willis is the officer, and being the highest ranking officer of the American prisoners, he's de facto in charge of all of the American officers, and is the representative talking to his German counterpart, really, there at the camp. So I don't necessarily want to get into spoilers on this movie because I think it's a good movie. I think it's highly underrated. It touches on so many topics. Like, there's a lot of movies that touch on racism that this kind of makes me go, because I feel like it's preachy, it's cliche, it doesn't really get to the bottom of the matter, or it's just convoluted and gritty and over dramatic without, again, really personalizing and making you care about the individual people and why this is wrong. This movie, on the other hand, I feel like each of the characters, even though they're fulfilling archetypes in certain roles, I think that they are good characters. That they're characters. They're good in the sense that they're fleshed out and rememberable, and they seem like people. And Hart, he is a bit of a weasel, and he is from the very start, because he says that he never cracked, that he only just gave name, rank, and serial number like you're supposed to and everything, and didn't give any other information. But when Bruce Willis' character meets him, he knows right off that Hart is lying, that Hart gave up something, because he asks him, about who his interrogators were, and there's a certain chain of command of, if you don't break, you go on to the next interrogator. And Bruce Willis' character had endured quite a lot before coming to the camp. and had refused to break and everything. And so he knows by the name of Hart's last interrogator that he didn't make it up the chain at all. Like, it was the first one. So he has no respect for Hart. And part of that's rightfully so. And it's like, if Hart had been more honest and stuff, it played out a little differently. I mean, still, he's a weasel, but, and yet Hart is our main character. And there's a murder at this POW camp. And there's 2 African American pilots who crashed and were captured and are put at this camp. And so there's a lot of racism between the officers, and they hate the fact that, well, certain ones hate the fact that these African Americans are placed in the officers' cabin, and blah blah blah. And it's just somebody gets murdered, one of the pilots is blamed for it, and Hart ends up being the lawyer for this pilot and defending him. And in doing what he's trying to do, as far as, he did study law, he knows law, and he not only has to represent it, but he finds he has to really be proactive in investigating this. And, and of course, as he does, he finds out that he's really, him and his client are being used as patsies and decoys, and there's a lot of other intrigue going on, and it becomes a question of, do I allow this innocent man to be hung or executed? I'm not sure if it was going to be firing squad or hung, probably hung to save bullets, but anyway, to save this life of someone. He's an American, he's a soldier, he's on our side, he didn't commit this murder, but the needs of the many would dictate that you have to lose this case. Don't go any farther with this, or reveal the truth, which would cause more harm to more of the POWs there. And some of these POWs, it's like, yeah, okay, they're soldiers too, but some of these guys are real sleaze in some ways. And it's just like a real moral dilemma for Hart. And it becomes, Hart gives a speech near the end to Bruce Willis's character, and this tough guy who thinks he has it all figured out, like he knows what's right and what's wrong and what his mission is and what he has to do, no matter who gets hurt, becomes a wake-up call to him. And I don't want to spoil, like, the ending or the details of this movie, because, like I said, it is a good movie. I think it's highly underrated. And I'll admit, it's not a movie I've watched with my critical analysis eyes on. I've watched it multiple times, though. It is one of those that I feel like it deals with certain moral issues, including racism, including military, what duty is, that whole concept of the many versus the few, and what's just, seriously, what is justice when you have more lives at risk versus having justice served for a particular individual. And then, and honestly, the client, it's not even just justice for him because he's being framed for murder, but what about the justice for the actual victim? If the point of the trial, which it wasn't really, but, if the law really is to serve to defend and uphold justice for the victim, the person murdered, you want to catch the right person, not just any person. It's not a matter of just pin the tail on a donkey and wherever it gets pinned, that's where it goes. It needs to be the right person. In previous parts of this, I mentioned, Jesus being the ultimate hero because he is that perfect sacrifice. And he took lessons for us. He took it upon himself willingly. He was innocent. And yet justice is served because those sins are punished. It was imputed on him, and his righteousness is put on us. And what a reversal. That he willingly chosen to do that for his elect. And no movie, no fictional story is going to capture that. And really, we wouldn't want anything, because humanly speaking, no human being could do that, or would do that perfectly. And that's one of the interesting things about whether it's a book or a movie, it's going to be laid with human flaws. Whether it's in the writing or production, or the characters themselves. They're not. A writer might, or a filmmaker might have a particular philosophy that this is their moral lesson, their objective and message that they want to get across to viewers, and the viewer may actually get that message and accept it, but viewers are always going to bring to the table their own point of view. I mean, there's so many times when I'm watching reviews of movies and somebody starts picking apart a movie that I like, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? How could you possibly have seen that in that movie? That is no way. I have to step back and just oh, okay, yeah, I see something in there because that is what I believe. That is what's already in my mind, and I'm going to bring that with me. And that's one reason why I like discussing movies. If you can talk to somebody else about it, it's really fun, because then you can compare notes of what they're bringing with it. As somebody who writes fan fiction and is in certain fandoms, it's amazing the differences of opinion on a character. I talk about John McClane's humanity, and to me, that's what makes him a hero. Other people, I know a lot of emphasis is placed on his wit, on his sense of humor, on just his love of cowboy movies. His, individual traits like that is what they emphasize and find most appealing about McClane. To me, no, it's that he really does represent both the ideal of what a police officer ought to be, of serving and protect, like I mentioned in the fourth film, and assessing the damages and trying to rescue people. I mean, it's totally overwhelming situation, but he's doing what he can as an individual person there, and delegating certain tasks to the guy that's traveling with him. And in the first movie, the Ellis, I mean, on a personal level, he has every reason to hate this character, Ellis, and yet he verbally is begging Ellis to just shut up and not get himself killed, and plus, not put McClane's wife at danger